Today, we're going to talk about the chosen ones, beings who walk among ordinary people, but whose essence vibrates on a completely different frequency. If you feel there's something more within you, something no one has ever truly understood, then you're exactly where you need to be. From a very early age, you noticed you were different. While other children surrendered to the innocence of the moment, you were already having thoughts far too deep for your age. You observed more than you participated. You felt more than you could express. And the strangest part? Sometimes, it felt like you knew things you never actually learned, as if you carried inside you some ancient memory, something dormant, yet very much alive. Even without understanding what it was, you felt it. Deep down, you always knew you weren't like the others. You never felt better than anyone, but you also never truly felt the same. There's a subtle difference, an invisible but constant sensation of being out of place, like you're in the right place, but in the wrong reality. As if your consciousness is far too expansive to fit within the rules of this world. As if you're living a human experience, while knowing you didn't come from here. And no matter how hard you try to ignore it, there's a quiet voice within you, always repeating the same message. You are not from here. That awareness follows you. It makes you question everything. It distances you sometimes because it's hard to connect with the superficial when you see everything so deeply. That's why, even when surrounded by people, you feel a loneliness only someone from elsewhere can understand, because the chosen one carries a different frequency. It's like a signal from far away, trying to adapt to a system that doesn't recognize it. And that is exhausting. It's tiring to try to fit into something you were never meant to belong to. It's exhausting to talk to people who only see the surface, while you see through the masks. You hear what isn't said. You feel what no one dares to admit. A small part of something much greater. You walk, speak, and breathe like any other human being. But inside, there's something different. Something that observes all of this happening, as if it's merely wearing the body like borrowed clothes. A temporary armor, a vehicle for something invisible. The chosen one feels this. It's not arrogance. It's not fantasy. It's a silent, intimate, almost secret awareness. The feeling of being inside something that doesn't fully represent who you are, as if the flesh is a disguise and your consciousness is the real you. You feel, even without being able to explain it, that part of you is only here for a while. And over time, that feeling only grows stronger. You start to realize that your body has limits, but your mic does not, your energy does not, and your intuition not at all. And that creates a deep conflict, trying to live in a system that treats you like you're just another person, while inside you, something exists that defies the logic of this world. You feel the weight of gravity, of routine, of rules that surround you, but deep down, you know your true nature isn't bound by any of this. Maybe that's why you were never able to follow the same path as everyone else. While most are satisfied with the visible, you seek the invisible. While many feel secure in the material, you question it. The chosen one knows, even if they can't quite put it into words, that all of this is a necessary illusion, a theater, and the human body is merely the role you're playing for a while. But the true actor exists beyond the stage. The most fascinating part is that, even with all this awareness, you still feel human pain. The body pulls you down. It limits you. It binds you to time. But your consciousness resists. It wants more. It wants to remember what it truly is and why it agreed to incarnate here in the first place. Because the chosen one hasn't fully forgotten who they are. They're just pretending for now. And if you felt like I'm speaking directly to you, that's probably because I am. This message isn't for everyone. It's for those who feel, for those who know. So if this message is touching something inside you, take this moment. Like the video, Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment saying, "I also feel like I'm not 100% human." That's how you help this message reach others like you, other chosen ones who are still searching for answers, or just for someone who understands them. Now let's continue, because what's coming next goes even deeper. You feel everything, things no one else even notices. And sometimes that's exhausting. While people around you only react to what's visible, you sense what's hidden. You walk into a room and feel the energy before anyone speaks. You know when someone's lying, not by their words, but by the heaviness in the air. You can feel the pain behind someone's smile, and even when everything seems calm, you just know something's not right. This sensitivity wasn't something you learned. It's always been there, and no matter how hard you've tried to shut it down, protect yourself, or convince yourself you're just being dramatic, it only keeps getting stronger. That's because the chosen one is equipped with senses that most people don't even know exist. You were designed to feel beyond the surface, to perceive energy, intentions, imbalances. And no, that's not a flaw. It's a function, one of the most silent forms of protection, and also one of the hardest to carry. Because to feel everything also means to absorb so much. Have you ever felt completely drained after being around certain people, even if you didn't talk to them? Have you ever wanted to leave a place suddenly, without any logical reason? Have you ever cried over something you couldn't even explain? That's your sensitivity warning you, letting you know not everything is what it seems. You're picking up things the eyes can't see, but the world doesn't understand that. So they label you too intense, too sensitive, too fragile. It was all too complicated. That's why you learned to hide, to pretend you didn't feel, to silence your sensitivity, just to be accepted in a world where it isn't valued. But here's the truth. This world is broken because it ignores sensitivity, because it rejects emotion. And that's why the chosen ones exist. They are like living antennas. They perceive the pain no one wants to see, the chaos no one wants to admit, and the truth most people avoid. Being sensitive isn't a weakness, it's a rarity. And in the case of the chosen one, it's also a key, a divine connection to something greater, a living memory of who you truly are. From as far back as you can remember, you felt like the outsider. Even when you tried to fit in, something always kept you on the edge. You weren't exactly excluded, but never fully accepted either. And eventually you stop trying because the normal world rejects you in subtle ways. Not with words, but with glances, silences, with that invisible feeling that your presence somehow makes others uncomfortable. You speak, and the atmosphere changes. You walk into a room and something stirs. It's as if your very existence challenges the invisible structures people have built around themselves. And the truth is, it does. The chosen one, just by being present, activates things in others they try to hide. You stir discomfort, you expose truth, often without saying a single word, just by being there. That's probably why you learned to walk quietly, to observe more than participate, to control what you feel, what you say, what you show, not out of weakness but for protection. Over time, you realized that normal is fragile, and your presence, even in its purest form, is seen as a threat. School was a battlefield. Family may have seen you as too much. Friends disappeared without explanation. And in love, it turned into fear the moment you started showing who you really are. But the problem was never you. It's just that the ordinary rejects what is rare because it doesn't know how to handle what it can't control. The chosen one didn't come here to fit in. You came to break patterns, to be the exception that questions the rule. And a world built on repetition does not know how to handle exceptions. That's why you were rejected, but that's also why you are needed. Because deep down, that rejection was your training. It forged you. It prepared you for a reality far beyond what ordinary eyes can see. Without knowing how, you just know. Thoughts arise from nowhere, as if they aren't even yours. Ideas, visions, warnings. It's as if someone or something is whispering truths you never learned, yet recognize as if they were memories. The chosen one lives with this kind of intuition, and over time, they stop doubting it because they begin to realize these insights aren't random. They come at specific moments, before important decisions, before encounters that will change everything, or when you're about to enter places that don't align with your energy. It's as if another part of you, an invisible higher self, is constantly sending signals. And even when you try to ignore it, it insists. Many times, you already knew who was trustworthy and who wasn't. You sensed when something was about to happen. You knew the path everyone else was taking wasn't yours, and even without proof, even without explanation, you were right. Again and again and again. This happens because the chosen one is in constant connection with something greater. Call it higher consciousness, the subtle plane, cosmic intelligence. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that this connection is real. You feel it. You pick it up. You translate what many don't even notice. But living in a world that idolizes the rational and dismisses the invisible, you doubted yourself for a long time. You thought it was all in your head. You tried to fit into the rules of logic. You tried to convince yourself that you needed concrete proof, but your soul knew there are truths that don't require proof. They simply are. The chosen one came with this bridge wide open. A direct line to other dimensions, other intelligences, other memories. That's why sometimes you feel divided. Part of you is here. Another part watches from afar, guiding you, warning you, reminding you you're not crazy. You're tuned in. And the more you accept this intuition, the more it expands, the clearer it becomes. Because what comes from outside has actually been inside you all along. There is something within you that even you don't fully understand. A silent yet intense force. Something that pulses behind the scenes. Your thoughts, your emotions. A kind of power that when it manifests, even you get startled by it. The chosen one has carried this power since arriving here. For a long time you tried to hide it, tried to fit in, tried to be normal. But the truth is there is a greatness inside you that cannot be contained in small boxes. And we're not talking about superhero powers from movies. We're talking about your presence, your ability to see beyond appearances, to influence your surroundings simply with your state of mind, to touch people with words you don't even know where they come from, to transform pain into strength, silence into healing, chaos into vision. But this power scares you because it forces you to take responsibility for everything you are. It pulls you out of your comfort zone. It makes you realize that you didn't come here just to survive, pay bills, or repeat patterns. You came to intervene in reality, and that is heavy. That's why sometimes you sabotage yourself, diminish yourself, isolate yourself. It's easier to appear fragile than to face the impact you really have. It's more comfortable to pretend you don't feel anything than to admit you can change everything around you just by being consciously present. The world taught you that having power is dangerous, that it's better to stay silent, obey, follow what already exists. But the chosen one knows deep inside that they didn't come to follow. You came to open the way. And your power is not to dominate anyone, it's to illuminate. But for that to happen, you need to accept who you are, own your energy, reconnect with your origin, and stop asking permission to exist. Yes, that will upset many people, but don't forget, the brightest lamps cause the most discomfort in the dark. Being different comes with a price that few understand, and that price is often called loneliness. But not the physical loneliness of being alone in an empty room. It's a much deeper, more invisible loneliness, spiritual loneliness. The chosen one feels this distance from the world around them. Even surrounded by people, they feel alone, because few can keep up with the intensity of what they live inside. Few understand the constant struggle between who they are and what others expect them to be. Have you ever caught yourself feeling an emptiness that nothing and no one can fill? That feeling is your soul reminding you it's disconnected. Disconnected from who you truly are, disconnected from your mission, disconnected from the place you came from.